Okay, so as I said, I'm just going to repeat back what we did during our class. Let's make it quite fast. Okay, before we create any image planes, as I said before, open up 4 panels and then go to side view and then import image under image panel plane. Right, so here look for the images that you have already stored in your source images. Right, you have already cut. So here what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the side image. Since we are on the side panel, you create one and then you go ahead to the front and then do another import image and then front. Alright, so once this is created, if you want you can create the back, but then again that one will be the later time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am just going to rotate this, since we did by holding J, and we're going to rotate this approximately to 90 degrees on the other side, opposite side, so that it just fits to the side that we want to look at. Move the image planes approximately a bit further. If you want you can do it in the middle, it's up to your preferences. I would not want to impede in during my modeling time. Okay, so I have already moved all my image plane, like I showed before. I have already moved all the plane so that I have more room. Right, so once you have already done this, go to your channel box, which also has the layer. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to choose both of these images. If you don't choose, it's fine yet. Alright, what you're going to do is you're going to create empty layer. You all should know by now how to do this. Create an empty layer and then whichever that is highlighted, just right click and then add object to the empty layer. So what you can do is you can just hide it, so it sort of like really indicates that you have already chosen the exact images or exact object that you want to add into your layer. Okay, once you have done this, just press this to make sure when it's on invisible you can just hide it. You know that every images that you have already created or objects that you have already created is now on the layer. Double click on this, click to any colors. All this color indicates the wireframe color of the object particularly. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just write here as ref, and then I'm just going to go here on any color that I prefer. I'm just going to do it as red. OK, and leave it. Okay, now once you have done this, make sure you're on reference, not on transparent, so you don't have to bother about how you want to choose the layers or anything that is disturbing the layer by itself. Number one, we are going to create a sphere. This is by components, right? I like to model from the eye by itself. First thing I want to do is I want to create the eyeball first, so that will be my main reference. So once I have created a sphere, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the front view. So front view, here as you can see here, this front view, go to X-ray mode. Right, make sure that you rotate your, by holding J is to snap. Alright, by holding J you snap 90 degrees. Alright, as you can see here, rotation became 90 degrees. Please make sure that you rotate this so that you can get the eyeball in proper place, and then you can always cut down your retinas and so on and so forth. Okay, bring this close to the black dot, which is your small retina here. You're gonna just bring it down, your pupil here, and then you're gonna just scale it down to a certain degree. Once you have done this, you just click elsewhere to get out from get off from the selected object. And now you're going to create a plane that is going to go all around, and the eye first, the eye socket or the eyelid and so on and so forth. Then you're going to build all the nose and so on and so forth. You can choose whichever the best option. I like the eye and I'll go with the eye first. Okay, I'm going to create a plane first. Again, rotation, holding J, you're just going to rotate this 90 degrees. Okay, make sure it is flat. Bring it over to the pupil that you see. Right, whichever. You're going to go from the eyelid by itself, then only you're going to go do your other eye bags and so on and so forth. Okay, once you have done this, you just brought it to the pupil. So before you go ahead and do anything else, please make sure you're on one division. This is where what we're going to do is we're going to bring this over. We're going to either scale it down, alright, bring it from this big sector here. I'm going to just off this grid so that you don't need to see the grid and it's not going to be disturbing to you. Okay, you're going to bring it down here, and what you're going to do is you're going to start moving your plane and then start creating the whole eyelid. Okay, so once you have already made it a little bit smaller, so it's enough room on the inner part first, and then we're going to move on from inner to outer. So here, if you want, always bring this extra division on the width, just for the middle cut. Everything will have its own middle cut. You determine it. Okay, right click on this object, and then you're going to do an adjustment on this, so you get this. You can just move it around. Okay, here I would strongly advise, please off this symmetry. Okay, you don't want anything as such to happen, and then you're just gonna, it's just gonna make your life harder. So rotate things around, as you can see here. One, you can pause it and you can just follow this eventually. So choose the edges. So now, after I've already adjusted my vertex just now, I have now chosen the edge that I'm going to extrude. Control E to extrude. I'm just going to pull it over. So normally I won't do much of modification during my extrusion, because sometimes you won't get a proper what they call navigation or proper sitting on the places that you want. Okay, this one depends. So I'm going to do another one. I'm just going to extrude this all around so I get the ring first. Okay, carry on. One, I'm just picking all the midpoints. So I'm going to do another G repeat last. I'm going to scale it straight to make it straight, and I'm just going to make sure that it's right in the middle here, so that these two are in line. And then I'm going to do another extrusion from here, bring it over. I'm going to rotate this and sort of again, so on and so forth. I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to bring it slightly closer to the eyeball, and I'm going to scale it very little, sort of like it becomes the midpoint that it meets, and then you can just create from here. Right? This is cartoonic, so you don't really need to think about the cavities around and so on and so forth. The details, it will come later eventually. So you're going to bring this over. Just make sure that it's not too high poly. So you're going to do this, once you have already adjust its position and so on and so forth. Anything that one way is you extrude this and then you link it up, or you can just use this, choose two of these edges and do a bridge. Okay, once you're done with the bridge, just make sure no other division that is added in between. So now you have a complete circle around the eye. So this will be the socket of it. So go back here, go to perspective view, and now have a turn and see. You get a proper round. So off the X-ray, so you can see a bit more clearer. So now you can see this round socket, and then the eyeball, it's like a socket going in. It's like a ball that is going into a hole kind of thingy. Right? So once you get this done over, so you press number 3 just to see how roundish it becomes. So this is this will become a particular it's a sub-D modeling anyways, right? So once you have this, what you're going to do is you're going to shape it accordingly to the side view. As you can see here, you get a C, so it is just nice to see the eye a little bit popping out, exaggerated a little bit, and it's properly, it's not like, you know, it's popping up like a alien's eye, but you know, it's just nice for the volume of the object by itself. Okay, the shape, the silhouette, you want to try to get a proper cartoonic exaggerated feature. So you choose the particular vertices that you think it's going to be helpful to shape up your socket. So you want to bring this over to the front, as you can see here. Just on this, just bring it over. If you want, you choose all these vertices again double check on your side view or right view, whichever side view that is in proper. So adjust it accordingly. So see, you see now the model is now created in the middle, so your image plane kind of like offset from it, so you're just going to adjust it accordingly so it just fits to the designated positioning of the character that you want to create. I just moved it over so that it sort of like it's the same as the front. You don't have an eye placed elsewhere and so on and so forth, so everything is clear. So I'm just going to move the plane, image plane properly so that it fits the bill. Okay, just move it over, that's fine. So what you're going to do is now you just go back to your layer and just make it to a reference, so it's easier for you to choose your mesh that you're trying to create. Okay, here before we go ahead and do any other thing, make sure that you save first, and before you save, do this, go for center pivot so it's easier for you to choose, and then go to edit, delete by type, history. Okay, once you're done with that, now go ahead and do your adjustment. See that? So I'm gonna just move things around so that I get the best looking best shape that I want for my character that I have already created. See that the eye is popping a little bit, don't worry about it too much yet. You just want to get approximate positioning of the eye, the form by itself. Okay, once you have done this, you're kind of happy, go to perspective mode. Right, so I'm going to right click on this object mode, press number 5 to see things around. Okay, kind of it's fine. So one advice will be looking at these edges, the middle one, make sure that you pull it a little bit out, okay, just to get that sharp look. Alright, so whatever that you see that is kind of like bringing out too much, you just want to move it over. Please make sure that you're not on soft selection. You know how to do soft selection, right? Press B is soft selection, and so on and so forth. Okay, once you have created this, you kind of like want to get at the all this shaping proper. So sometimes it doesn't make sense to have such a dip in your cavity by itself. Alright, your eyelid, every eye will have its own cuts in the middle here. They have its name by itself, but I'm not going to talk about it too much, but just to keep in mind that, you know, it's not too inside. The outer part will be slightly outer, but the inner part will be slightly inside a little bit. It's not going to go too symmetrical. It's supposed to look like this a little bit. Okay, once you have done this, what you're going to do is you're going to double click this, the inner circle. Alright, the inner circle in a loop. So you're going to do a Control E extrusion. You're just going to bring it in, up to you whether you want to do it on this modeling tool set or if you want to do it in different manner, up to you. So you're going to choose this, you're going to just bring it over first, not too much like that. Okay, just something like that. Alright, and then later on you can go ahead and adjust it. So now you choose, that is done. That is to make sure that the object, it's not hanging on the air. It makes sense to have it on the inner part, so it just sits in place. So choose this now, bring it over outside, you get this particular round. Alright, so now what you're going to do is you're going to choose the ring. See that? Double click once and click another one by holding shift, double click on it, you get all the rings selected. Now holding shift, right click, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do edge, insert edge. Okay, remember number 3, when you press number 3 is just for display. You're always modeling on a low poly. Low poly will give you more chances for you to control your object. So I'm just going to go slightly nearer to the ring, so I get that in proper. This is for the eyelashes that you want to create eventually. I'm just going to add another one more. See that? I'm going to add another one more loop around it. So you have part 1, 2, 3 loops. Okay, so 2 loops have been created. Now what you're going to do is you're going to look around. You always make sure that you rotate things around so it's easier for you to look at things and how it's going to be created. So once this is done, you're kind of like happy with this, you now start adjusting its shape. So you bring this out a little bit so you don't get things like too much. Impeding. So here what I'm trying to do is I'm creating the eyelid. See that? So once you create an eyelid, when you go to object mode, this is what you get. As you can see here, the vertices is not properly laid out. So what you're going to do is you're just going to bring the vertices out. So make sure you're on 4 if you want to look at things, just to double confirm. See that? I missed out. So I'm going to go to 4. 4 to choose, and then number 5 to bring back the shaded version. So same here, I'm just this one depending on how well you want this to look. So make sure you go back and forth and then adjust it accordingly. See that? I'm kind of like happy with this, and then you move things around so it's properly laid out for its eye to be sitting on the object by itself. Alright? This one anatomy needs to be read through. Okay, I'm just going to bring this over something here. This is bottom here. It depends on your level of details for your eye bags. So I'm just going to lay it in a little bit. As you can see here, there's not much of eye bag, but you get this proper look. So once this is done, you're kind of like, hey, it's sort of like it's coming alive. Don't worry, this can be adjusted eventually. I just did this because I want to look, I'm quite used to this. You maybe want to always adjust things based on your orthographics and so on and so forth. Okay, now don't worry too much on that. They're just going to move things around and create the big shape first. Alright, don't worry too much, adjust it accordingly. Okay, see that? I'm just going to adjust it accordingly so that I get the look first. Alright, so I come back here, I come to perspective, here you go, this is what I have. Okay, once this is done, happy with it, you start doing your front look. Right, from front here you can't see much. What you're going to do is you're going to go back to your X-ray mode. You're just going to adjust back again. This is a to and fro work. You have to do it again and again and again to make sure everything, you get a patch first in proper, and then you start extruding and so on and so forth. Okay, now you get to your X-ray mode. Now you're going to pick edges. I work with edges a lot. I choose the edges so that I have a better control on my modeling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude again from the edges. I'm going to bring this over. The reason why like I said just now, I don't want to have it moved on the extrusion tool, because I don't want this to be out of control. You can control always, right? So what I'm going to do is now I'm just approximately looking for the midpoint around here, and then I'm going to extrude maybe from here, offset a little bit from the midpoint, and I'm going to do G again, pressing G, repeat last, and I'm going to bring it right in the middle here, and I'm going to scale it, squash it on the x-axis so that it becomes aligned straight. Alright, to get the midpoint. Once you get this, you're kind of like, hey, look, I kind of have this covered. You're kind of like creating a masquerade sort of feel. So once you have this is the first phase. Later on we're going to go ahead and do the second phase and so on and so forth. This is a good modeling technique here because you have more control. You kind of like know what you're doing. You can always justify the topology, and you can always control it eventually. Okay, once you have done this, go back to your front view, side view. First choose the vertices, the edges that you want to choose, and then what you're going to do is you go here, go to side view or right view. You're going to pull this over. Okay, number one is you want to get this nostrils right from the head, and then you're going to go bring it out here and start to create your silhouette. Okay, if this is done, you're kind of like happy with it. Okay, something like that. Adjust it, right click, object mode. See that? It becomes a mask around your concept or the character that you want to create. I'm just going to pull things over so it's nicer and it's set up in proper. Okay, once this is done, you go ahead and go for perspective view. Here, best thing that you want to do is you want to do two windows. The right window or the left window, it can be either working whichever that you want to work with on the perspective. You leave it there, but here will be the sides that you want to see, like for instance the front view or the side view here. This completely depends on how you want to lay out your panel. Okay, once you have done this, now you start adjusting your edges. This here, the eye has been created. Now doing the nose onwards here. Okay, again Control E, press W again to pull this over. I'm just going to minimize this side view. Okay, and I'm going to go switch back, forth. Okay, I'm going to adjust it accordingly. It is something like a vector graphic kind of thingy, the pen tool that you use in Illustrator. It's something like that. So every time you choose you have to identify which is the best curvature that you want to get, and which is the midpoint for the curvature, and that's where the bezier is going to be created, and so on and so forth. Again, G, you just shape it up accordingly to the nose, and then G, you bring it out closer like that. G again, repeat last, bring it over, and then G again, bring it over to get the nose first. Okay, start off here. Now you go to your vertices and you're going to push it over so that it falls on the outline that you have here, right? The outline, don't worry too much. Again, don't worry about it too much. When you take it too heavy on you, sometimes you won't get it right. So later on we can adjust the scale of it, the size of it. Okay, now go back to your perspective view. I'm gonna maximize this now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick this and I'm gonna make this slightly bigger. See that? Because the nose is actually a little bit, the frontal, your nostril, alright, your front tip is a little bit more broader compared to any noses. So you got like a big Santa kind of nose. So depending on the shape that you're drawing, right? If it's sharp, then it becomes very sharp. So you have to experiment a little bit here and there. But don't feel free to make mistakes first. Alright, go for the bigger picture. Again, Control E, and what I've done is I've already brought it out a little bit. I'm trying to get this shape of this nose. See that? I'm trying to get that nice oval look, like a sexy hip here, a balloon kind of thingy. Alright, so I'm going to choose this. I'm going to bring it over. If you can't see much, what you can do is you can always write spacebar, hotkey, and then just go to front view and to just double check how it's going to look like to get this nice round. Focus on this area first before you go ahead and focus on the other areas. I'll go for the bigger picture first before even thinking about the details that I'm going to create. Okay, choose this. This is based on my side. Okay, sometimes it's quite difficult. It's a little bit hard when you're doing when you're assuming things and then you're going to do your modeling based on that, and so on and so forth. Okay, move things around, adjust it accordingly. Alright, get the shape first, get the silhouette, back to perspective view. Go to perspective view, you push it over. See that? So from side view, what you're getting now is the shape of the nose that is going to cover from front, the tip of the nose to the nostril area. Alright, so there you go. Once you have done that, again extrude it and then make the envelope around it, a wrapping around your design, the concept itself. Okay, bring it over. Okay, again move your vertices around so you get this nice little shape here. Later on we're going to add more stuff, like for instance the rings, and you're going to add on more segments to complement your shape. Okay, once you have done this, first before you go ahead and add more stuff here, look at your perspective. Now when you're doing this, you can now do a bridge. Remember quads and tries. Okay, always go back there and go to your modeling toolkit. So here you kind of like get an idea. You got one. Okay, let me look at what this is. You got 1, 2, 3 and 4. This 4 vertices is gonna create a quad for me. Alright, so you kind of like know this whilst you're modeling, since you have experienced it. So when you see like if it's 1, 2, 3 vertices, then it becomes a try. So you only work with quads and try. Do not work with n-gons. N-gons is just going to make things even worse. It's very difficult for you to adjust things and so on and so forth. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose these edges again. I'm just going to bridge it. See that? So now this is done. Again, click on the edges, I kind of like, no, this one will create a quad for me. Now it's beautifully laid out. There you go. Alright, so sometimes you want to get a proper layout, then you can just be careful when you are doing bridges. You don't go ahead and just do bridges all the way. Like here it's quite difficult, so you might want to add more segments here and so on and so forth. Okay, once you have done this, here maybe you want to do a bridge somehow. Keep the spaces a little bit. It's alright before you do the whole of your nose and so on and so forth. So what I'll do is I will just go ahead and do the basic closure first. So you get this basic shape. Now you carry on and make the mouth and the jaw. So side view again, you see this is like a mask. You can just socket it on the character concept by itself. You choose this, bring it over, bring it close to the outline. Alright, if this is a nose, this is a nose. You see, I don't straight away go ahead. If you are experienced enough, you straight ahead and just straight away you go ahead and just do the model. But now it is more step by step kind of thingy that you're doing. It's easier for you to identify what it is and so on and so forth. Okay, so first practice first. Again, what I did was I have extruded the edges. I'm trying to get this lip, upper lip, okay, here, and then I'm going to do G again. I'm going to bring it over. See that? And then G again. I'm going to bring this over. Okay. This you can either do this way separately, or you can just cut it off later. So how about we do the big picture first before we go ahead and do the rest. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add, I just extruded from one of the edges here again. Let me do this again. So I'm going to choose this, I'm going to delete this. Okay, just to be careful, I'll just, just to make sure nothing is eyesoring. So I just off the grid, so it's easier, it doesn't disturb or distract you much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the edges in the middle mesh that you have here. I'm going to do Control E. I'm going to do the lips. It's sort of like to cover up to the jaw. First, you don't think about the lip too much, but you give a segment. Okay, the big picture, as I said before. Bring it over, get the big picture here, and then again G, W. Remember, you want to get a proper control. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do again G to repeat last. I brought it over to the jaw line. Okay. Once you have done this, and then again G, I'm going to bring it over to the neck. So focus up to the neck first. The hair, the collars and all that will be done eventually. So this is done. You kind of get the silhouette. The mouse later on, as we have already created the meshes around it, then we'll do an extrusion by itself or a cut by itself. Okay, again, now go for the top. You do Ctrl E. You're going to bring this slide over. Okay, just be careful the frowning. Okay, when you're doing modeling as such, you need to know how you want to add like your eyebrows. Around your eyebrows in the middle you have this a proper quad. So that would be the stop point where you're going to make the frowning and so on and so forth. Okay, so just bear in mind that, just make it a good practice. So again, G is to repeat last. As you can see, I always, whenever I extrude, it's a practice of mine, I always straight away don't rely on the extrusion tool. I will go ahead and manually move things around. Okay, you have already brought up to the forehead. Now once you have this, you kind of like, hey look, it's sort of like get things done. So here, once you have created this, you're going to click on this, go to your front view before you continue and so on and so forth. Just go to your X-ray. Where's the X-ray? Okay, click on the X-ray tool, right? Double check and see the nose here. It is kind of like too small or too inside. By holding Shift, Control Shift, and then selecting it, move it out a little bit outside. Okay, bring this guy a little bit inside. Okay, later you're gonna add some more segments here so that it kind of like gives you a proper round. Okay, don't worry about it too much. Now start creating first. Have a go first. Okay, now this is done. You're gonna just focus here. Bring this guy slightly up and then inwards. Now what you're going to do is edge. You're going to choose all these edges that is going this way around for the forehead, and you're going to do a Control E, bring it out one, maybe a bit out here, G again, and bring it out here. Okay, now you're going to do a target well. See that? One, or you best is from here to here, from the bottom, and then from the upper part by itself. The reason why you do that is because you want to make sure that you weld it properly. Sometimes you may miss out because Maya, not every machine is perfect, so you have to remember that. Okay, adjust it accordingly. Alright, as you can see here now, it's sort of like gives you a different look. So adjust it accordingly so you get this nice layout. Okay, choose all this midpoints and so on and so forth. Adjust it. See, what I'm doing now is I'm slowly starting to amend my model. See that? I open it up, I bring it to the outer part, and I'm going to do a rotation. All these tools is given to you. All you need to do is you need to explore. Bring it out, bring it elsewhere, slightly out here. Alright, and then you are going to do all this shaping and mesh distribution in proper. Once you have this, I'm going super slow now, alright, just to make sure that you guys grasp what is there in your, kind of like understand what I'm trying to do here. So once you get this, you go back to your perspective view, you look around, right click, object mode or non-object mode, it doesn't matter, off the X-ray mode, and check and see. Here you kind of like had the forehead. You have approximately a nice sector for your eyebrows and so on and so forth. If it's too much, then bring it out a little bit. So kind of like shape it out first, rotate it a little bit, okay, and then foresee how it looks. Alright, once you have done this, if you want to see it more clearer, it's very simple. Click on this, go to front view, right, bring it over. Okay, now like I said before, press insert or press K for your Mac. Alright, press insert. Control. Hold on. Okay, Press insert and then you're going to adjust it accordingly to the middle. Bring your pivot point to the middle so you can just mirror it properly. So here what I do is when I'm moving this, I move it from the middle here like I told you guys last time. Press V and then you're just going to snap it to the vertices in the middle. So once you have snapped it, so when it's in the middle, just let it go and everything is snapped properly. So once it's snapped, so here you go here, go to duplicate special, which you're going to do now. This is to see on the other side. So -1 scale, remember, instances, apply. Let's see where it flows. See that? It's not working. Why it's not working? Because my translate is 2. Make sure that you reset first. Reset. Go to instance. Okay, Maya will just remember whatever you did last time. So sometimes the best is for you to go back and reset your duplication options. Right. Now you click back on your instances and then on scale -1, apply. Now you can see the character is eventually been created. Close this. As you can see here, this two face is been created. There you go. Okay, the face is slowly being formed. You can control this, duplicate this and bring it over to the other side, just to see how the both eye looks and so on and so forth. Okay, so this will be the first start for your model. I hope that it's helpful. Okay, see that? Even though it's not 100%, but you kind of like, hey, I get it. I get the face. Now I know how to do this. The upper lip and all that, everything needs to be amended. Now the matter of time for you to just amend and connect all these areas together so we can get a proper model. I hope this is easy. This is part 1. Okay, part 2. Now continuation of my modeling. So I go back here. I like to work on single panel by itself. So here secondly I want to get this shape. Okay, normally in anatomy by itself, in advanced modeling, you kind of like get all this proper muscle layout. The topology needs to be correct so you have a proper facial rigging. If you don't get a proper muscle layout, you kind of like lose out the details that you want to show. That we'll talk about on the advanced classes and so on and so forth. So here now you are starting to create from here this chin, this cheekbone here, and then to your what you call to your jawbone here, or to your chin. Okay. Alright, so create that first. Now around here the nostril to the lips. So all this must be connected. So how do you do that? Again, go back here. First you want to make sure this two is connected. Connect, bridge 1. Now from here you start doing your extrusion. Bring this over, bring it around, leave it as it is. Later on you go back and adjust. G, bring it over, something like that, and bring this one outside to get that nice bubbly look. Okay, don't worry too much. Later on we can go back and fix things. Okay, now bring this and bring this closer. Don't adjust this like that. Maybe you want to do target well on the vertices first. Okay, bring this vertices to the designated vertices that you want to join, like this. Bring it over and bring this guy. You can just leave this guy first, or if you want, you just bring it over like that. Okay, so this is for the outer part of this cheek. Okay, adjust it accordingly. Again and again, I keep on hopping. Don't worry too much, adjust it accordingly, and then start building first. First get the look and feel, then you go ahead and adjust it accordingly so you get a nice looking face. It's all about modeling, is all about extrusion and combining it. Okay, bring it outer a little bit, and again go here. You're gonna do a target weld each one of this. Go to 4, it's a lot more easier to see. Okay, now number 5, as you can see here, you're starting to form the shape of the face. Okay, okay, let's just finish off this face here and the total face with excluding the hair, the face first before we do anything else. Okay, once you get this, you double check on your front view, go back to your front view, click on this, or click on this selection if you want just the selection, or whichever. Okay, now you see everything is sort of like coming together. Adjust it accordingly. See that? I'm getting the shape first. If you want, have a look at this. Okay, adjust it accordingly. You're trying to get this nice little loop. Make sure the rings are correctly placed. I mean, you sort of like create all this so that it's easier for you to adjust later. So bring this over. Now again, from the mouth or from the cheek by itself, all this needs to be extruded. I'm just extruding and doing the same. Or before you do another extrusion, just extrude one side here in the middle here. Alright, and then go to your perspective view, double check. Hey, how does it look? I want to bring it over behind here a bit so that you get this nice little upper lip area. Okay, once you get this over, you kind of like get a nice curve, so you start doing your target welds and so on and so forth. So bring this over and target weld here. See what happens. Or go to vertex. Vertex would be the best target weld. Oops. Bring this over. I got this targeted. If you can't see much of the X-ray mode, and then you can see this. This is what I'm trying to apply here. Okay. Right. When you're modeling, you have to be aware of what sort of details that you want to do. You have to study your concept carefully and thoroughly before you even decide on what you want to adjust and what you want to try to get. See, from here, as you can see, nothing is going to go super straight. In 2D drawing, sometimes you can't see much, but you as a modeler, you kind of like know the flow is needs to be adjusted eventually, and the depth between each segments needs to be properly distributed. Okay, balanced up. Okay, once you have done this, you kind of like, hey, look, I got the face, I've got the nose, I got approximately the lips. Later on we come back and we'll do the adjustment here because you need more segments, but on the silhouette side I'm fine. Okay, that's the most important thing. So once you get all this, so what you're going to do is you're going to continue with the jaw. See, I'm just skipping a lot of areas. The reason why being is I'm trying to get the silhouette first. It doesn't really matter much in here when you're doing this. I mean, it's important for you to get the jawline, which is one of the identification of your face, how it's structured by itself, right? And then trying to get this all covered first before you even go ahead and pull one by one. You can take the whatever time that you want to go ahead and create your best model, but just bear in mind you have to connect all this correctly. Again, I keep on extruding according to the numbers of quads that I see, or numbers of what do I say, numbers of edges that you see in your model currently. Bring it over again, G, and what you're going to do is you're going to bridge it to this, the outer part. Bridge. Done. Okay, now the face is approximately created. Okay, we're going to close all these gaps that you're planning to close. And choose all these areas, the segments first, and then you're going to do a bridge. Everything is closed. Alright, happy to be. Alright, once you have done that, and here's the trick part. When you have this, you want to be careful with your quads and tris. So if this guy is going to look like this, if it's open, don't worry too much. You're going to adjust it accordingly, so you just fit everything in proper. So here, if this is a hole that you have created, right, you're just going to adjust it accordingly. And now you are trying to figure out how you want to adjust it to the best looking model that you want to create, the silhouette by itself with a proper anatomy. Okay, give me a moment. Alright, so now once you have done this, you're kind of like happy. Okay, this is another breaking point that you have to think about eventually. Okay, every jawline will have its own cut here. Every lip area, every jawline will have its own cut here. So first and foremost, just close this gap first, fill this hole, do a bridge. Okay, this one is created around here. Right, the reason why I left the face to a certain degree, why, is I'm trying to avoid as much as possible the tris. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the upper lip and the lower lip. This is where the mouth is going to be opening and closing. So you see this, you are trying to create one more line or edges. What you're going to do is you're going to do to multi-cut tool, right? Best is now go back to 1, so it's on the object mode, I mean low poly mode. It's easier for you to choose. Okay. Make a line in the middle here, so it sort of like creates this, and then bring this over something there, right? Adjust this so that it becomes a nice round, and right click, edges, double click, go here with holding shift, fill hole, done. Alright, now press number 3. What do you see? Hey, I've got the mouth sort of sorted, I got the face sort of sorted. Okay, in depth you go, you got a lot of other things to consider, like I said again and again, but for a start, this is a good start already. Okay, as you can see here, the character is sort of like complementing each other. Get the silhouettes right approximately. Maybe the frontal area is a little bit different, but you don't see much because the image that it shows, it's not super duper clear, and how the depth is shown, it's all shown in one go, not much of shadow play there. So later on when you do 3D, it will be slightly different compared to what you see in 2D, sorry. So I'm just going to bring this out a little bit here and there. So you see here, this might give you a problem eventually, right? Like here, this part here. When the chord is not properly properly distributed, and it's not clearly indicating the the jaw, the lip lines and so on and so forth, the anatomy is not properly, the muscle flow, then you need to go ahead and do all the other adjustment. So here, let's continue first. Okay, a little bit of detailing before I go ahead and do the rest of the head and the back here, which that will be much more simpler than this, because that normally as a character modeler you don't go ahead and do all the details first. You kind of leave the front first. This is the most hardest thing to do. Okay, you want to lock this area, right? So how do you want to do that? You can either go ahead and add some segments here to lock it down, but before, do the nostrils and do your adjustment. Okay, go here, bring it in slightly. The hole is not that big. Okay, just be aware of the hole placement, and then adjust it, bring it over inside, so you get this nice looking nose. Okay, so go back to object mode. You see it from side, maybe it's a little bit big, later on come back and adjust, but you kind of like get the idea already. Hey, the character is kind of like coming out. It's slowly I am doing a character close to the concept that I've drawn. Okay, so do the nostril to get an idea how it looks. Once you get this, now complete the modeling. Okay, the point that I'm trying to tell you here is the frontal part from the jawline here, everything needs to be detailed. As you go above the forehead, this is where you start doing your simplification. So you're going to bring this over, and behind this forehead, everything will be covered by your hair. So your scalp area needs to be lower poly. We'll talk about this, how low you can go and so on and so forth, in the upcoming class, but just bear in mind here you're slowly optimizing your model. Okay, so what I did is I'm planning to do this from the side view. I'm planning to get the silhouette from the planes that I've from mesh that I've already created. So I am slowly extruding each plane that I get from here. Choose all this edges and start extruding. Right, get the shape approximately, rotate it a little bit so that it sort of like wraps around. Okay, get the scalp first. See that? Double click, every loop will be chosen. Control E. We're going to adjust it accordingly. Rotate it and get the skull in place. The scalp in place in proper positioning. Okay, again, I'll do the outer part silhouette first, then I will go for the details that I'm going to create eventually via my modeling. Okay, see that? Choose this, then go back to my edges that I selected. The 3 that I selected in the middle is more than enough to create all this silhouette. I'm just going to bring it over. I like to always check with my segments around here. Kind of approximately it sort of like solves the problem of the forehead, I mean the skull and so on and so forth. Okay, this is where the trick comes. So you see this, all this area, if you don't need that much of segments behind here and yet you can achieve a proper roundishness, then you go ahead and reduce it as much as you want. So here I really don't need all this redundant faces. That it's not going to help me much because I have this to be expanded to the side. I still get the forehead. See that? I still get that nice skull. Right? So I'm going to choose all this. This one comes with experience. I'm going to choose all this. I'm going to just make it slightly bigger here and there. Again, I'm going to use all the tools that I have that's given to me, basic tools. I'm just going to close the gaps along the way. I can bridge it, G to bridge it, G to bridge it. See, if you don't have much, later on you go ahead and just do a cutting. Anyhow, you need another cut here. So here and here I choose my rings, go to insert edge loop tool, I cut. Alright, done. So once I cut this, now I know I have properly distributed layouts, quads, so nothing goes like it's different tries and quads is happening there. So everything is clear. So choose all this, bridge, G bridge and G bridge. Okay. See certain areas that you can see here, kind of like looking a little bit off, so you have to go back and adjust it accordingly. Right. Pull this over outside. Later on you adjust it. Just be mindful of your jaw here. Your jaw bone is quite important. That will give you a nice characteristic. The sharper the jaw is, the more mean the character becomes, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is done. Go ahead and do some more extrusion, like finish up the neck. Right, 1, 2, 3. Or here 1, 2, 3. Best to go from backwards. Right, Control E. Pull it here 1 and rotate it a little bit outside and press G. Done. Okay, neck is over. So the neck is over. Now you have to figure out how you want to adjust or connect all these empty holes and bridges and so on and so forth. Okay, if you don't have enough segments, you can go ahead and do this. Okay, again right click, insert edge loop, add some little segments so that it's easier for you to connect. Later on you optimize, that is another different story that you're looking at. Okay, you're going to look for here bridge and again G. Alright, so this is practically a face. Ta-da! Okay, what I want you all to do is you all start doing the rest of it. Okay, have a test first. Let's look at how the whole thing goes with your practice. So I'm gonna go and adjust my model eventually. I don't want my forehead to be alienated like this, and it doesn't make sense. So adjust it accordingly. If you need more segments, again, if you need more, please go ahead and add it, but just be mindful, you add when it's only necessary. Okay, so once you have done this, you're kind of like happy with your model, you can now go ahead and eventually adjust it and make it the best model as you prefer. Okay, don't be worried too much on this middle line here. Once you have already mirrored it and welded it, you don't see this middle line much. That one will be adjusted eventually. But now you've got a model which is close to the concept that has been drawn. So this will be the first stage of modeling. Alright guys, so save as, hit as. If you want to, organic hit. Part 1. Save. Okay, save it. Before you do anything, before you exit, make sure you choose everything and then go to edit, delete by type, history. Done. So the scene is much more lighter, and save it. Okay, next step, tomorrow we're going to talk about how you want to do your lips and so on and so forth. Right, thank you guys. I will see you guys during the class. Bye for now.